Good morning, everyone. Welcome to the show. It is my final streaming day of the week. It is Thursday, the 9th of April, 2026. I'm DSP, and this is the morning show. How are you all doing this morning? I hope I find you well, and I hope that you're ready for a full day of new release fun. Today, we're going to be checking out not one, but two brand new games. One is Invincible Versus, the upcoming fighting game starring the cast of the Invincible comic book and television series that is now in open beta both on Xbox and PlayStation. As you can see, we'll be playing it on PlayStation 5 today. In addition, later tonight, it's the premiere of Pokemon Champions. Now, to be fair, it already came out like 2 days ago, but it wasn't supposed to. It was actually supposed to come out today, but they actually released it early. It's a free-to-play game on Switch where you basically have Pokemon like fighting in teams over the internet. I don't really know much about it. Like, I don't know how much, it has to do with real Pokemon battles, if it's something different. I just don't get it. So tonight we're just going to investigate that and see exactly what it's going to be. I don't know, but hey, it's something new and people wanted to see me try it out, so we're going to, okay? So all day long, today, it is new content. I don't know if I'm going to like Invincible Versus. From what I'm to understand, it's a 3v3 team-based game. And you might say, well, Phil, you just played Marvel vs. Capcom 2 the other day during your birthday marathon. That's a 3v3 game. I mean, fair enough, it is. But if you had played Dragon Ball Versus, which is basically what people are saying this game is very similar to, that is nothing like Marvel vs. Capcom 2. Okay, it's not. It is more of a almost Marvel vs. Capcom 1-esque game where each character essentially is just trying to hit you with like a mix-up to get you with a high-low attack and then immediately go to a ginormous combo and then try to reset by having an assist come out and mix you up. That was like the whole game. So I'm curious, is that Invincible Versus? I've actually heard Invincible Versus is actually designed for an even more casual base than more modern fighters are. So, you know how I say Street Fighter 6 is too dumbed down, too easy to play? Apparently, Invincible Versus is supposed to be even easier. And that's a little concerning. You're supposed to have some level of challenge in these games and some level of skill and entry-level execution. And if all these games are just simpleton stuff, I really don't know how they're going to play competitively. You know what I'm saying? I guess we're going to have to see. I'm going to give it a fair shot. I haven't played it at all. I haven't even watched any footage of it besides those few like trailers and stuff that we've watched. So we will try to figure it out together this afternoon. I'm going to play for around 3+ hours. Probably do, whatever the tutorial mode and training mode is, mess with a couple of characters, and then I will try to play it online and see how it plays and go from there. But, yeah, the question is, will I like it? It actually comes out on April 30th in its full capacity for $50. So not a $70+ release. Obviously, that makes it a lot more enticing to some people to drop the money. I don't know. Let's see today. Let's play it today, and let's see what I feel and go from there. All right? Thing is, I don't really know Invincible that well. I've only watched season 1 of the show, and that's it. I didn't watch anything else. I don't read the comics. So it was funny. In chat, someone was talking about the characters and stuff just this morning as I was starting up the stream. And they were like, ooh, spoiler. I'm sorry, Phil. I might have spoiled it. And I was like, you can't spoil. I don't even know who you're talking about. I've only seen season 1, which was very limited. So I guess we'll see how it goes today. All right. Caterade, thanks for $2. Says Graveyard Keeper is free on Steam. Free? Oh, yeah. They're trying to give a game away. See, here's the thing. Here's really what we need to address. Okay. Because I do think that it's pertinent to talk about it today on the morning show. I'm just in the midst of too much. And what I mean by that is, for a while here, since Resident Evil 9, there really haven't been many or any releases. There just haven't been, okay? So I've been juggling so much stuff, right? Crimson Desert, Dragon Quest VII still going on, now Pokemon Fire Red, Retro Rewind, and RimWorld, and yes, Street Fighter 6, but none of those are really hot new releases. You know what I mean? This week coming up, there actually are hot new releases that people want to see me play. And how am I going to do that when I'm playing 6 games? I'm not. That's the answer. There's no way. How can I play 6 games and then 2 more new ones? I can't. That's not possible. So something needs to be done. And, you know, in light of how things have gone recently with the lineup of games, what I think I want to do this coming week is make a push to possibly finish Dragon Quest VII, although I don't know how close I am to the end. I'm being told I am getting pretty close. So maybe play that at least 2 times next week, okay? And, you know, do my best to kind of juggle everything else, but I need to finish stuff up. Now, what we're going to talk about this morning is Street Fighter 6, all right? And what I mean by that is we're going to talk about my journey with this game ever since it came out, the different ways that I've covered it over the last 3 years, where we're at right now, and why I'm moving on. Okay? Cool. And that'll be your definitive answer so that we can actually talk about the future. Because, to be honest, time is my biggest commodity. Right? It is. People want me to play this game, play that game. Literally in that super chat, Caterade is telling me, oh, there's a game free on Steam. And I just don't have time to check out anything right now. I'm playing too much already, and there's other new stuff coming out. So at a time like this, when I'm basically on overload and there's too much going on, I have to make tough decisions. So we're going to talk about that today, and we'll see. We'll see how this works out next week. Okay? Okay, cool. First off, how is everyone this morning? Let's say hello to everyone. Over on the YouTube side, who do we got? We got doubled Kirby, Bradder Stan, Scat Ass, Daryl Dixon, Dungeon Keeper's Mistress, of course, Caterade, Kyle, Mandels, Stanley, The Waller, Jade is here this morning. How you doing, Jade? Ferbs is here. Who else do we got? Copium, Grandmaster Scrub, Streamlabs, Draymond. What's up, everybody? Over on the kick side, we've got Master Shake Quarman, Joey Chestnuts. We got Mojito Kitty, Captain Cody. Who else? Wall Run Enjoyer, Hot Poutine. Lance Catamaran is here and has dropped 100 kicks, our first kick side contribution of the day. Thank you, Lance, for a kick side contribution this morning. I appreciate that. Okay. And Lance just dropped a sub as well. He did both at the same time. Thank you, Lance, for the first sub of the day over on Kick. Thank you. Very good. And as you can see, yes, I phased out the birthday animations. They'll come back next year. 3 days of that was enough. All right. So, everybody, how y'all doing? Oh, no, Lance isn't in YouTube chat. Lance is on the Kick side. Someone just said, where's Lance in the YouTube chat? He's not. He's on the Kick side. That's why he's gifting subs and kicks. All right, so. You know what? Let's just get right to it. Really, let's just get right to it. What's up, Lalafell? How you doing? What's up, Figs? How you doing? Who else is here? Anyone else? I mean, we're getting a good attendance is coming in right now, so let's get right into it. All right, you ready? Street Fighter 6. Street Fighter 6 released 3 years ago, okay? When it released, giant hoopla, giant hype, huge numbers in sales, right? Great player base, massive improvements from Street Fighter 5. Much better graphics and character design, interesting game mechanics, adding tons of new mechanics that weren't in the previous game, making it a lot more fast-paced of a game because of Drive Rush. A pretty good starting cast of characters, I would argue. I like the fact that it actually had a huge single-player mode that Street Fighter really had never had before. If you actually look at the history of Street Fighter, it never had a giant single-player mode. It was always about multiplayer, right? And, to be honest, okay, probably one of the best Street Fighter launches of all time. The game worked very well at launch. It completely recovered from the insanely botched launch of Street Fighter V. Street Fighter 6 really worked well at launch, and everyone was so hype about the game. Now, was the game well balanced? You can argue not really. The top tiers were clearly defined, and the middle and bottom tiers really sucked. But for the most part, the game was fun, okay? And to be transparent, at that time, there was tons of players playing both ranked and casual play, And I was shocked at how good the online play performed, meaning most of the time when I was playing, I was getting people that were like in the teens of milliseconds, maybe up to 30, 40. If I had a match that was 50 or above in milliseconds of latency, that was a rarity. And that was amazing because it meant that while you were starting to learn a brand new fighting game at the ground level with everyone else, equal playing field, right? You had good connections where things would actually come out when you did them. You would actually complete combos, okay? When the connection is better, it basically means you can act like the game's offline. So you can use strategies and learn effective strategies and get better at the game at an accelerated rate. That was a great thing, all right? And I would argue the entire first year to year and a half of Street Fighter 6, although there were ups and downs and definitely abusive stuff and there was things I complained about, for the most part, it was a very fun experience. And if you'll remember, I covered Street Fighter 6 very intensely, which I normally don't do with fighting games anymore, all right? I don't. Now, usually a new fighting game, I'll buy it, I'll play it for a couple weeks, and every once in a while, I'll occasionally go back to it, but I don't play them hardcore, right? I don't. I just dabble with them, essentially, and then I move on to other stuff. I'm a variety creator and streamer now. I'm not just an FGC guy who's covering fighting games and needs to microanalyze every character and tell you about the meta and show you the top-tier combos and strategies. It's not about that. I do way more than that. In fact, I'm known for variety. I'm known to be the guy that covers kind of everything. And you never know, whenever you jump on to one of my streams, you have no idea what I'm going to be playing, and that's a good thing. That's why I have such a wide viewer base that come by for whatever particular genre they like, and that's why I'm still pertinent after 18 years. If I just stayed playing fighting games for the longest time, what about during the droughts, right? The Street Fighter 5 years and the years that Tekken wasn't doing so well, I would have been struggling. But instead, I went to other stuff. Now, let's talk about the results of that, all right? First off, thank you to S. Silvestrito for a $5 super sticker. He says, how's it going? It's going good, S.L. Silvestrito, or Silvestrito. I appreciate that support. That's actually our biggest super chat of the day. So thank you for that. And Supportive Support just did 500 kicks. He says, if you'd quit when you first said you would have been at 1550 master points. You kept playing and lost points, but you were ahead. I know. If I had quit when I said I was going to quit, I would have actually been up on wins, and I would have actually had an overall great night. Well, not great night. I still would have been very disappointed with the game. But, you know, we're going to talk about that. Thank you for 500 kicks. Let's keep going, okay? So, here's the thing. When Street Fighter 6 came out, my footage did well. Very quickly, within a few months of that, like 2-3 months, it kind of sputtered. Now, not my footage, but the people watching it. And what I mean by that is, originally I did have, many, many years ago, a fighting game community viewer base. People in the FGC liked watching Dark Side Phil videos. But since I fell out of love with Street Fighter around Street Fighter 5, and I stopped covering fighting games extensively, basically that viewership dwindled, and some stuck around, but not many. So when I covered Street Fighter 6 at a much heavier capacity, okay, basically people were like, what are you doing? You're supposed to be the variety guy. Why are you playing this game 3-4 times a week, major streams? We don't care. Now, that wasn't everyone. That was a select base, okay? But for the most part, it's true. I was playing Street Fighter, and my videos went from getting thousands of views down to like a few hundred. So I'm pumping out all this gameplay, and no one's really watching it, okay? And so, what ended up happening was, after that initial big rush of popularity of Street Fighter 6, let's say 6 months, right? I cut down on the amount of footage that I was playing the game. Even though I had like 5 or 6 characters that I had played and got to master rank, no one really cared. So I said, let's do Friday night fights. Let's have fighting games once a week, okay? Where we play them and, you know, we have a good time with them. But I keep my variety going. I keep my balance of games going. So that way we don't get completely eaten up by fighting games, and then people who like me doing other stuff don't complain that I'm not going further enough or beating other games more quickly. Let's do a balance, okay? And the moment that I made that decision, okay, essentially what happened was people who were hardcore into fighting games said, all right, he's back to his old ways, and moved on. But my regular viewer base, the variety base, stuck around. And I want you to understand how much I appreciate that you guys know that I love playing fighting games, but, you know, it's different today. I have no aspirations to become a competitive player that's going to go to an in-person tournament or qualify and go to EVO and try to become something on the world stage. I don't want to get signed by a team and start flying all over the country to play these games. For me, it's just fun. A casual place to hang out, play these games. Yes, I believe that I do bring a unique perspective. As someone who played competitive fighting games for over a decade, at a competitive level, placing and winning tournaments in many of them, and someone who has been around since the launch of Street Fighter 2 to bring that unique level of perspective to modern fighters, to tell you about how this compares to the oldies, footsies, spacing, you know, mix-ups, how it applies, does it even apply, or are these games more more designed for the casual audience and they're just more simplified these days, right? So, what's happened is over the last 2 years or so, Street Fighter 6 kept going, right? They kept adding content, new DLC characters, new stages, new skins, etc. In general, the FGC still likes Street Fighter 6. They're just not as in love with it as they used to be. When the game first came out, they thought it was like the best fighting game ever, okay? Now, not so much. What's happened is the game has settled into this kind of established meta of how it's played and what characters are considered top tier. And quite frankly, it hasn't really changed. Yes, there are new characters that are released like Mai Shiranui who go right to the top tier, but for the most part, the balance has remained the same. It hasn't really changed. You know, Juri, still top tier. Cammy, still considered top tier. Lower top tier, but still considered top tier. You know, any character that's like a Shoto rushdown style, all top tier. JP, definitely still at the top. You know, it hasn't really adjusted that much. There's been a couple shufflings of the deck, like Chun-Li is dipped now down lower. But anyone who is mid or low tier is pretty much still mid or low tier. They've never elevated the bottom. So the game has remained almost the same. The problem with that is that because of that, the game has gotten stagnant and stale. When you watch people play Street Fighter 6, it almost always looks exactly the same. And one of the big criticisms of the game is that you could be watching tournament footage of someone playing Ryu against someone playing Cammy, and you erase the names from the top of the screen, and you would have absolutely no idea who's playing because everyone plays exactly the same patterns. That's the meta. The game's boring. It's true. That's a true criticism of the game. That's not me saying that. The FGC has said that. Okay? So, yeah, the game hasn't really advanced or changed. It would be great if Capcom would actually put effort into the game to formally rebalance it, to actually make the bottom tiers much better, to take those top tiers that are too dominant and make them more fair. They haven't done that at all. In fact, I think they're afraid that if they did that, the people who are so hardcore into the game would complain and stop playing, and then they'd stop getting their hype, they'd stop having streams with thousands of viewers, no one would want to go to the tournaments, etc. They're being cowardly about it. Instead of improving the game, they only care about the popularity of the game, if that makes sense. So, what's happened over these years is my interest in Street Fighter 6 has gone up and down, depending on what I'm up to and things like that. You know, it kind of hit the fan last year. I remember that Mai Shiranui released, and I played with her, and I got her to master right away because she was so bustedly good. Within like 2 days, she was a master for me. But then after that, I kept playing, and I just got bored. I was like, there's nothing interesting about the game anymore. Every single time I play, everyone plays these characters exactly the same. There's no variation. There's no attempt to be innovative or different or creative. And that's one of the things that I used to love about fighting games, is that when you fought one person's E-Honda, they would play ultra defensively and not keep you away. Then you play someone else's E-Honda, and then they're in your face attacking you constantly. Whoa. That's cool, right? That's different. That's what makes this game neat. Not Street Fighter 6. In Street Fighter 6, everyone plays exactly the same because that's how they designed the game. They didn't make it that creativity is rewarded. They made it that you memorize the meta pattern, you copy-paste the meta pattern, wash, rinse, repeat. That's the game. That's fucking boring. From a competitive perspective, that doesn't stimulate my brain and make me want to play more. It actually puts me to sleep. So, I quit Street Fighter 6 almost a whole year. Right? I think it was like maybe like spring of last year that I said, whenever Mai Shiranui released, right? That's when I played with her. I was like, I'm done with this. This is too boring. And for a whole year, I played either classic fighting games or nothing. If you remember, I played the Capcom Fighting Collection 2, which has Capcom vs. SNK 2, and I played that for like 4 or 5 months, as much as I could, until basically the player base fell off and there was no one left to play. So I had to stop playing it because there was just no comp anymore, right? It was just laggy connections and no one who was any good, so there was no point in playing it. I got so good at the game, it was hard to find someone who could beat me at it besides like Justin Wong or one of my old school friends from back in the day who I would do like a challenge set against. No one else could hang with me in the game. So, after that, I actually totally retired fighting games for a while throughout the fall and right into early this year. And then what happened was, basically, things slowed down with games. There wasn't a lot going on in early 2026. So I said, you know what? Maybe this could be the time. I'm starting to crave fighting games again. Maybe we can actually bring them back into the mix. Now, at this point, I've been removed from Street Fighter 6 for almost a year. There are multiple new characters like Elena and Sagat that have been added to the game that I hadn't even seen in action yet. And I was very curious how the game played and if it had been changed or whatever. And so, to my surprise, when I actually brought back Street Fighter 6, what was it, late January? I think it was late January. It might have been early February. People liked it. They were like, ooh, this is cool. This is something Phil hasn't done, this competitive play. He hasn't been in his rotation for a while. I do feel that there were some newer viewers there who had never seen me really play fighting games from the whole Asmongold interview and stuff like that. So there was renewed interest in it, okay? But what's actually happened now, in the last 2 to 3 months that I played Street Fighter 6, is we're right back to square one. After 2 to 3 months, I've seen all the DLC characters. I tried the new one with Alex. I've messed around with the characters that I used to be great with, and I've played them all multiple times in sets. And we're literally right back to where we were when I quit in 2025. Everyone plays the same. Everyone is abusive with online lag strategies. Everyone is fucking boring, and quite frankly, most of them suck at fighting games, but have played this particular one so much, they memorize cheap ways to win where you can't react to the stuff they're doing online, and it just puts me to sleep. It doesn't stimulate my brain to be playing a fighting game where I am absolutely dominating the opponent and I accidentally press one wrong button and the opponent capitalizes with a giant combo that takes more than half my life bar, also puts me in the corner where now I have no way to get out and I instantly lose the round because I made one simple mistake. And to make matters worse, sometimes I don't make the mistake. Sometimes I actually do the right thing and the game doesn't give it to me. Block low quickly, get hit anyway. EX headbutt, jab. Enough of this. I don't want to play a game where you're not rewarded for being smart. And that's the truth about Street Fighter 6. Street Fighter 6 is not a game that rewards you for intelligent thought. It's a game that rewards you for playing the odds, guessing correctly, and ad nauseum copy-pasting a fucking boring formula. That is an ass fighting game. Now, I want to clarify something. That is the online play of Street Fighter 6. I just mentioned about 10 minutes ago that when originally I started playing Street Fighter 6, almost all of my connections were really good, right? I would have so many connections that were like in the teens of milliseconds latency. My worst connection ever would be like 50 milliseconds. Well, guess what? It's 2026. Now, on average, my connection millisecond delay is between 50 to 80 milliseconds. That is a humongous delay compared to how this game was at launch. And it's hilarious because people tell me, but Phil, the Steam numbers say it has the biggest player base ever. Then why are all the connections worse? If there was a better player base, you'd match with people who have better connections. So, don't really care how many people are playing it. If they're all at the bottom level and I can't match with them, the people who have played it at length have terrible connections. So you play the game, and how do they play? Online lag abuse. Not intelligence, not, oh, I know how to play my character. It's just, oh, I know, just do this one thing, throw fireballs from mid-screen because no one can dodge them or block them with this lag. And then it all hits you. You're like, what the fuck? Like, the guy has no mouth-drooling strategy. Fireball. The fuck? That's like a strategy that wouldn't work in Street Fighter 2, but it works in this one because the game is fucking laggy, you know? And it's just not fun anymore. You get to the point where I've invested a ton of time into this game, And I'm just not getting any satisfaction out of it anymore. It doesn't even feel good when you win a match because half the time it's bullshit. You know this game should play better online, and Capcom stopped caring. They just want you to keep spending money on the expansions. So I've played it enough to the point where I've seen what the game fully is. I totally understand it. And essentially, I'm just not interested anymore. If the game played better online and I was getting those better connections constantly, maybe I would. But I've had enough of playing through this game on a ranked night and actually having a few great matches where I dominate and my strategy works because I'm using my brain, and then I literally lose 5 in a row because the game plays like laggy dog shit. Okay? I refuse to just sit here and waste hours of my time losing to people who don't have a competent thought in their head but think they're good at fighting games because they memorized a lag pattern that works in the terrible connections this game gives me. All right? The FGC can lie to themselves as much as they want about how good this game is. It's not good online. It very well could be a great game offline. I can't speak to that whatsoever. I don't go to in-person events or tournaments. People don't come over my house to play me. And I don't care about traveling to play this game at any kind of a competitive capacity. All right? It's not like the old days of Street Fighter. Now I'm a variety creator. And quite frankly, I don't like the game enough to invest that level of time, money, and or, resources to care like that. I just want to play it more casually. I would like to get better at it, but it doesn't seem like the game is designed well enough to play it at a meta level at this point in time. And I don't think that Capcom is going to be investing more money to improve the netcode so that it will be a better online experience at this time. I just don't believe it. Okay? And so, I'm done. Okay? I'm not playing it anymore. I'm serious. Like, Street Fighter 6, unless there is some huge reason to return, I'm not returning. Like, let's say, for example, next year they announce, Vega's going to be in the game. Maybe I would be convinced to try it again and see if Vega's any good. But that's about it. I really don't want to play it anymore. I'm not getting any enjoyment out of it. It's a waste of my time. To be honest with you, it's become an actual waste of my time to play this laggy game. It's not me, it's them. If Capcom cared, they would actually make the game play better. They don't care, and the FGC loves to lie to themselves about the quality of the games they play because it's their hobby, and they're so deathly afraid that if they criticize their hobby and admit that this game lags and sucks online, that no one would play it, they won't say it. Well, fuck them. I'm actually honest, and I got more shit to do with my time than I have time for. So I don't care about wasting time on Street Fighter 6 anymore. They can kiss my ass. Okay, so that being said, since I'm done with Street Fighter 6, okay, that now means that we will have more time in the schedule to play more games, which is a good thing, because as I've already stated, I was juggling 6 games. Now, we're going to remove Street Fighter 6 from the schedule permanently, so that now means that we're down to 5, but then there's 2 more coming up next week, so now what are we going to do? And that's what I was talking about, is that it looks like what we might have to be forced to do now is to try to focus in on a game or two that I can get much further in quickly and beat so I can get those out of the schedule so that I can now focus on new games. Because to be honest, there's no way that I can play Dragon Quest VII Reimagined, Pokemon Fire Red, RimWorld, Retro Rewind, and, what's the other one? Now I'm having a brain fart. Oh, Crimson Desert, and also Pragmata, and also Mouse PI for Hire. That's not possible. Now, I'm already so far into the games that I'm playing, okay, that I don't want to axe games. You know what I'm saying? We're over 40 hours into Dragon Quest, right? Even if you'll get a game like Retro Rewind, we're like 12, 13 hours into it, and we're almost done. Like, it ends at level 20, and we're at like a level 12. So, what I think we need to do is focus in more on the games that we know that we can make giant progress in. Okay? What can we make giant progress in? Dragon Quest. We're almost at the end of that game from what I'm being told. So we probably should focus heavily on that, at least playing it 2 major streams next week to make maximum progress in it. Okay? Also, yeah, we should probably focus in on games that we know we can push. So, Retro Rewind, right? Maybe we should play it more if we can, so that way we can get to level 20 and then put it on pause until they release the new content for it, which is scheduled to be either end of the month or maybe next month. They're saying there's going to be new features and things, you know, added to it. And that's definitely something that isn't that big of a deal. You know what I'm saying? So that's what I'm thinking anyway. And it's really up to you guys, you know, how we focus on it. But we got to make a change. We can't just keep playing the way that I'm playing and make any kind of progress. We're getting too stuck up in the games that we're playing and not making enough progress, if that makes sense. Okay? I got a $3 tip from Nutlump32. Listen to this person. They said, will you play Toxic Commando? No, I have no time to play new games right now. I can't. Will you please set aside a day to honor CCH Pounder and her portrayal of Bertha from the epic film RoboCop 3, still considered an all-time great? No. Thanks for $3. Nutlump32. What a name. Where the hell is... There it is. Where's the dollar symbol? I kept missing it. Okay. Okay, so here's what I'm thinking, all right? I'm thinking that games like RimWorld, we're going to keep playing, but it has to be played less right now. Like maybe RimWorld once a week. We're going to make a new colony on Sunday night, but maybe we just do one session of RimWorld this week, right? And that way, that's fine. People will still be satiated with their RimWorld gameplay, but that could always be kind of a chill late night game that we play maybe like once a week for now, right? Retro Rewind, I feel like is something that we can probably push through within a couple more sessions, but then we can kind of put it on the shelf until the update happens, okay? And Dragon Quest VII, I feel like we could really push it this week and try to get to near or at the end of the game, so only like one more stream and we can wrap it up. That's what I'm thinking. Like Crimson Desert, we are nowhere near making major progress or finishing it. That's going to stay in the schedule for as long as people like it and want it. We'll keep it in there, right? I keep having a brain fart about the other game, right? It's Crimson Desert. Oh, Pokemon. Pokemon again. That's a retro game. There's no rush for Pokemon. We can take our time. I don't even think we're halfway through Pokemon Fire Red yet. And people have even said that there's post-game content that was added to this version of the game that I've never seen. That's a chill one that we could just play from time to time. What I'm thinking is once Pragmata and Mouse PI for Hire come out, those are ones that we focus on heavily. And then we just find a way to balance everything else around those, all right, and see how they go. That's my take. And yeah, that means, as of now, no fighting games in the rotation. Yes, today we're playing Invincible Versus, but then we're not playing fighting games again until we decide if I'm buying this game at the end of the month. Okay? We don't have time for retro fighters. We don't have time for other games. We don't just have time. There's too much going on right now. Okay? And with all the stuff that's been happening, you know, I had an April 1st special event. I had a birthday marathon. I got extra time off this week for my anniversary. And actually, I haven't even told you guys this yet, but later in the month, I need another day off because I have a whole bunch of appointments scheduled. So I can't be here 6-7 days a week to catch up with all these games. We got to do something about it. So there's going to be a shuffling of this schedule. Okay? Okay. All right. How is everyone? Because I see a lot more people have joined the stream. I hope that you're all doing well. Everybody, how you doing? Good morning. Well, I guess at this... Oh, no, it is still good morning. Because I did start early. Oh, wow. Okay. Can we try a Red Robin turkey burger for DSP tries it? Does Red Robin actually have a turkey burger? I don't know if anyone would want to see that. We did do a Red Robin burger a while ago, didn't we? Wasn't it called the Scorpion Burger, if I remember correctly? Let me see. They brought back their backyard barbecue pork. I know they had that in the past. Salmon? Why the hell do they have salmon at Red Robin? What the heck? I'm trying to find it. I don't see it. They don't have it. Nope. They don't have a turkey burger for delivery. I'm checking their menu right now. They don't have it. What's bizarre is that they have pizza. They have pizza at Red Robin, which you know is terrible. Yeah, they don't have a turkey burger on their menu for delivery, just so you know. It's not there. So, okay. All right, so to summarize, no more Street Fighter 6. I'm done with it. If there's a reason to come back to it in the future, I will. All right, like if there's a character that I'm interested in, they're releasing as a DLC. But for now, I'm done with it. I don't want to get stressed out with it anymore. I'm tired of wasting my time. We have more things to do that are more interesting to me. Say goodbye to Street Fighter 6. Sorry if you love it. I don't. Okay. Now, would I like to play other fighting games? Sure. We're doing Invincible today and testing it. I may or may not get it at the end of the month and actually play it. And there's always the possibility that maybe in the future we could go back to playing classic fighting games, right? We just did a successful session of Classic Fighters during my birthday. However, did you notice what happened during my birthday? I beat everybody. Because at Classic Fighting Games, I'm fucking good, and pretty much no one can hang with me unless it's someone from back in the day. The modern players aren't very good at these games and can't really beat me. I mean, I'm beating them up with joke teams like BB Hood, who's bottom tier in Marvel 2, for the record. So, yeah. I would like to maybe occasionally say, hey, let's just do a random Friday Night Fights. We'll do classics tonight and see if we can fight anyone. But that's probably going to be the extent for now. This year, there is Invincible Versus, there's the Avatar fighting game, and there's Marvel Tokon all coming out. So there is potential that I could play these new games in the future. But I'm done with Street Fighter 6. Okay? Okay. All right, King Michael, good morning. Game Boy, good morning. All right, that's what I had to talk about. We do have to figure out what we're doing for DSP Tries It next week. As of now, it might be Potbelly. Because Potbelly has... well, I've never did Potbelly at all for DSP Tries It. And they have some interesting sandwiches and things. Maybe I could get a couple and try them. Okay? So right now, I would say Potbelly is a leader for DSP Tries It next week. Unless we come up with a better idea. So I'd like to hear your thoughts and ideas on that. And let's try to figure it out. Because again, we got to figure it out Sunday. Because I'm not here tomorrow or Saturday. So when I come back on Sunday, we got to talk about this and try to figure it out. Okay? Cool. All right. What's up, Chris? How are you? All right. Let's go. Lodi, what do you guys want to talk about today? This is the morning show. What we're attempting to do is build up attendance. Right now, we got apparently outstanding attendance on the YouTube side. We'll probably hang out for a bit more, and then we'll jump into Invincible Versus. Just for the record, I have to learn how this game plays because I have no clue. I got to do the tutorial. I got to do training mode stuff. Don't expect me to jump right into online play and have no clue what the hell I'm doing. All right? But I will. I'll jump in. We'll try to figure this out, and it should be a good stream, hopefully. We'll see. Okay? All right. What do you guys want to talk about? Tag me in the chats. Either chat. Let me type into the Kick chat. And let's see what's on your mind. What's up, Ortega? How are you this morning? Jay Kuma says, please finish Retro Rewind. It's definitely a game I'm not interested in watching. But the thing is, the way Retro Rewind works, you unlock content up until you level to level 20, and then the game just ends. There's nothing else to do. You could keep endlessly simming it, but there's nothing else to do in the game, but they are adding new content. So with Retro Rewind, you know, another stream or two will probably be near the end. We've been basically hitting like 2 levels a stream. So we're getting there. Okay. Robust, I hate to tell you, I don't care what you're seeing at online. It's not on the online ordering, so I can't get the turkey burger. Jade says, day one, I was so happy playing Street Fighter 6. At first, it was easy for me to play it because it had the easier controls. But online play just isn't that easy to me, and I always play offline. Yeah, and the good news about Street Fighter 6 is, like I said, It really is a full package. When you buy Street Fighter 6, you get a full-fledged offline mode. You get in-depth tutorials, challenges. There's a lot of stuff to do in the game that has nothing to do with online play. And even if you wanted to play online, you can. There's a modern mode that makes it easier for people to play. It definitely is one of the more user-friendly Street Fighter games ever made. No one is going to say that, like Street Fighter 5, this game was a ripoff. Street Fighter 6 is not a ripoff. It's actually a great value for the dollar. But the competitive nature of the game never evolved. It's remained samey for 3 years, and Capcom has made zero effort to refresh the game. It feels boring. And that's sad. Okay. Game Boy, I already said this, but I'll say it again. I actually do not watch or keep up with Invincible. I've only seen one season. So I don't know anything about any of the future plot lines or whatever, okay? Sergeant Madness, how you doing? Thank you for a $10 super chat. Sergeant Madness asks, are there any games to look out for this year other than GTA 6? Seems like most releases are shadow dropped. No hardcore gaming season anymore. Well, let's take a look. Hold on. And what I really should do soon is I really should look at the gaming schedule, because the last time I did was Christmas. Seriously, it was the Christmas marathon is the last time that I really looked at the gaming schedule, and I have slowly updated it here and there over the year, but I haven't fully looked at it, okay? So, I can't take a look at the schedule because I'm on PlayStation 5. If it were any other day, I would have been like, let's look at the schedule. And I can't because I'm on PS5. I'm not hooked up to my gaming PC. So, I can't look at the schedule. What I will say is that there has been a few games in the schedule that look intriguing, but nothing that you know is going to be good. Like, will Pragmata be good? Capcom just released a great game in Resident Evil 9, so we know that their quality level for most games is great. So Pragmata could be amazingly, surprisingly good. Or it could suck. I don't know. The thing is, it's like you just said, it seems like most games that are great end up not even really being heard of until they're out. And what I mean by that is these lesser-known indie games, or maybe like mid-scale games, not huge AAA games at all, but maybe games that are kind of middle of the road with budgets or whatever. They seem to be the games that come out and actually shock us and do much better. So, yeah, I don't know. We'll have to see. But yeah, you're right. You got GTA 6 is the hype game of the year, right? Outside of that, is there anything else that's really getting much hype past when, Resident Evil came out? I don't think so. For fighting games, the game that seems to have the biggest hype is Marvel Tokon, because it's Marvel characters. But people who had played the earlier versions of the game basically told the game developer, it doesn't feel that good. You need to really improve it. So, okay. Typical average gamers did a $2 super chat and said, no, excuse me, it was a $5 super chat. My bad. Have you watched season 2 of One Piece yet? The next season coming out later this year. Also, Ocarina of Time remake coming out this year will be revealed in June. Well, yes, I did, and I liked it. Again, I've already criticized it. Here's my criticisms of the One Piece show. A lot of the things in the show don't feel nearly as impactful. For example, the end of season 1, the finale, when they defeat the Fishmen, it doesn't feel like this is a group that has gone on a journey and struggled, and this was the end of this journey. Remember when, Nami has betrayed us. It doesn't feel like a big deal because the show's been so fast moving. By the time that Fishmen arc happened in the anime, that was felt like 3 seasons in. It wasn't, but it felt like that long because the anime has so many episodes, right? It doesn't feel that impactful when everything is rushing forward so quickly. You know what I mean? This whole second season is like a whirlwind, and I think they're doing a good job and doing their best to cover it in a fast, accelerated way, but things just don't have as much impact. Like, I don't feel like, I already forgot her name. The Princess of Alabasta. What's her name? I forgot her name. I don't feel like they ever flesh out the fact of why she would have been considered an assassin worthy of recruiting to that assassin team, because she doesn't even fight. Like, she has a yo-yo that she's supposed to be doing stuff with. Vivi. Yeah, that's her name. And they never even really show her fighting besides once, and it's, it's fast. It's like, huh? So when you turbo through stuff, you're going to miss important development that makes the story feel more impactful and make more sense. Okay? I will say this. I think the acting is good. I think that the effects have been good. Some of them are cheesy, but I think they're doing the best they can with this ridiculous anime plot. I really like the show. I do. I really like the show, and I'm looking forward to more. So season 3, if it comes out this year, I'm excited for that. Alex from Phoenix, thanks for $2. He says, has Mortal Kombat regressed like Street Fighter? Oh, Mortal Kombat, this last one, just chucked the franchise off a cliff. Okay? So here's what happened with Mortal Kombat. Mortal Kombat in the 1990s attempted to compete directly with Street Fighter. And it did because it had gore. And because it had, to be honest, half-naked women. That's why Mortal Kombat actually was popular in the 90s. It had nothing to do with the gameplay. The gameplay elements of Mortal Kombat weren't really competitive with Street Fighter at all. Street Fighter was always the better competitive game. And that's why, even though they tried tournaments and things, Mortal Kombat by the end of the 1990s completely fell off. Okay, 100% completely fell off. And what happened was they stopped trying to make Mortal Kombat competitive and instead said, let's just focus on making this party games for home consoles and make it as gory as possible, silly plot lines, a ton of characters, and make it that people will buy it, but don't really care about it being competitive. And they succeeded at that. Mortal Kombat, what was it? Deadly Alliance and Annihilation, and there was like 3 or 4 of them in the 2000s. They actually sold like crazy. They did, and they did really, really well. So Mortal Kombat focused on that, but what happened then was that eventually they kind of dried up. They said, well, how can we reinvigorate the series? Let's do DC versus Mortal Kombat, right? They tried it, it sold, but then it died again. So what they really tried to do, and this was during the era when I was becoming a prominent YouTuber, they wanted to reboot Mortal Kombat to actually be serious again. So with Mortal Kombat 9, they started the whole franchise over. They redid the original plot of the old Mortal Kombat games. It really was a reboot. And it worked. Okay, they used modern graphics, modern gameplay mechanics, and people liked it, and it started getting played competitively again. And then with Mortal Kombat 10, they improved upon it. Now there's different versions of each character that you can play that play completely differently with tweaks and different combos and things. And it got taken very seriously. Mortal Kombat 11 actually added in gameplay elements from other fighting game franchises like Street Fighter so that the game could be played even more competitively. And then what ended up happening was NetherRealm, who makes Mortal Kombat, lost the ability to make other fighting games. And what I mean by that is they don't have the rights to make another Injustice. So because of that, they had always been alternating between different games. You know, it was like Mortal Kombat versus DC, Mortal Kombat 9, which restarted the franchise, Injustice. Mortal Kombat 10, Injustice 2. Mortal Kombat 11. So by rights, it should have been Injustice 3 or maybe a new game. And by the way, Ed Boon, the head of NetherRealm, had been telling everyone their next game was going to be a completely new game. And everyone was excited, and then it fell through. So when it fell through, NetherRealm had no game to offer. And they had to essentially rush produce Mortal Kombat 1, the second reboot of the franchise. I want you to think about that. They successfully rebooted Mortal Kombat for Mortal Kombat 9, and it worked. What made you think you could do a double reboot? The answer is you can't. You get one chance at a big reboot, and after that, you're done. So they did a double reboot, and it didn't work at all. People hate the new plot line. They hate the new gameplay elements. They hate assists in Mortal Kombat. They feel that the game is too slow-paced. The game is busted online. It's not balanced, and it's just garbage. And it is. Like, I played it. I couldn't stomach it. For more than like a month, I couldn't play it. I hated it. This game does not feel like Mortal Kombat. It actually ran like shit online. It was the of all the games that were there was Street Fighter 6, Tekken 8, Mortal Kombat 1. Mortal Kombat 1 had the absolute worst online play of all three. Completely laggy. Waste of your time. So, it died. It fell right off. And Mortal Kombat 1 has not been successful. They ended up rushing. They were originally going to have like 4 or 5 different seasons of content. They rushed out 2 seasons of content and then said, no more content. We're done with this game. So supposedly, yes, they are working on another game. Nobody knows what. Because if they do another Mortal Kombat right now, I don't think it's going to work. People have no confidence in them right now. They used to be one of the big 3 for fighting games. And now they just jumped right off that cliff, and I don't know, they have to dig themselves or climb themselves back up the side of the ravine if people are going to trust them. And I don't know what they're going to do to get that trust back, because that game was awful, like legit bad. Okay. Borderlands came out with a game on iOS. Will I check it out? No, I don't have iOS. I'm on Android. Ruin says, or my Ruin said, NetherRealm, DC, and Mortal Kombat are owned by Warner. There's zero rights issues. Well, I misspoke. You're right. I did misspeak. It's not that they weren't allowed to do it, but I think something happened mid-development, because they had said they were making a new Injustice. Then all of a sudden they changed their tune and said, we're making a new game. Why would you say you're making a new Injustice and then all of a sudden announce, oh, now we're just making a new game, and then not make the new game and come out with Mortal Kombat 1 instead? It doesn't make sense. So I did misspeak. It's not that they don't have rights to use those characters. Something happened mid-development where they were just told don't do it or can't do it. I don't know what, but yeah, something fell through at some point. What's weird is, do you think it had anything to do with Suicide Squad? I would hope not, right? I don't think so. Because since they're all owned by the same parent company, technically you could have multiple teams working on the same characters. You know, you would hope that's the case. You would hope it wasn't like, oh, they were making Injustice 3, and then they were told, oh, well, Rocksteady's making Suicide Squad. We don't want 2 DC games at once, so don't make something else. And they were like, what? You would hope not, but we're not going to know yet. Or, you know, that kind of industry stuff you don't hear about. Sometimes you never get your answer, and sometimes you'll get it 10 years later when no one cares, right? King Michael, I'm not going back to Street Fighter 6. He says, will you play with characters like Blanca and stuff? I'm not doing that. I'm done with Street Fighter 6. Like I said, if I go back to it, it's going to be for a good reason. Like, let's say Balrog or Vega or one of these classic characters that I love from back in the day gets put into the game, and all of a sudden I'm teased. I'm like, all right, I'm tempted. I'll go back. I'm not going back to play the game like I was. I just don't care. I don't. The game's not going to improve or change. It's just a waste of everyone's time. It's just frustration bait is what it is. I play it, I lose my cool, and I don't have no fun, so what's the point? Sergeant Madness with another $5 super chat says, I haven't watched it in a bit. What's your favorite, or what was your game of the year last year? Is Resident Evil your current favorite this year? Sorry, a little bit of indigestion out of nowhere. Last year was a very unique situation because I felt that there were 2 games that legitimately ended up being best in class for their respective genres, okay? You had Hollow Knight Silksong, which I actually believe is the best Metroidvania game ever made. And you could disagree with that. That's fine. We all have our own personal preferences. But after I played it, I was so blown away with what a great job they did with this game. Its level of content, its execution in the gameplay and combat elements, the secret content that was in there for a whole secret Act 3. Like, best freaking game that I had played in so long. But then at the same time, Claire Obscure Expedition 33 felt like that game was the epitome of the turn-based RPG. It had action-based combat with parries and dodges, but it had very complex gameplay elements where each character actually played completely differently with their builds, right? It had insane graphics, one of the most unique storylines I've ever experienced in a video game, which is few and far between these days, where everyone copies each other. That game just felt unique. So, in this case, I said for a rare situation, I'm actually going to say there is no definitive game of the year, that both Claire Obscure and Silksong were best in class, and therefore, they were both game of the year for me. Now, as of this year, yeah, I would argue this year, there's been a few great games. You know, notably some of the ones that we're currently playing are really good, but you can't really say if they're going to be consideration for game of the year till you get through them and you beat them, right? Arguably the best big game that we played this year definitely was Resident Evil 9. That's the best one. We'll have to see what else is going to happen. I feel like we're right at the point where games are about to start coming out rapidly. Pragmata and Mouse PI for Hire, Soros and Invincible versus at the end, or Sonos is Sonos or Soros. I think it's Sonos at the end of the year or at the end of the month. Next month we have multiple releases. Like there's a lot that's about to start coming out fast, and then we're gonna have more games in the running. But for now, yeah, you know, it's kind of a lot of indie games, but I don't know if anything stood out like a Game of the Year contender. Definitely, you know, Resident Evil for me. Okay. Jay Kuma says, I think I heard Vega has been leaked as one of the characters that will be in the next season of Street Fighter 6, but not really the best reason to go back right now. I'd wait for a big update. There's not going to be a big update. I'll tell you right now, there's not going to be a big update for Street Fighter 6. They're cowards. The game is what it is right now, and they're afraid that if they dramatically change the game to make it better, you'll lose the casual base. The casual base will say, well, I don't get it. I've done the same pattern since the game came out, and it works. I get wins online. You took away my pattern. So now how am I supposed to play the game? And they're just going to stop playing because they don't actually know or like fighting games. All they know is how to play pattern play online. They're not going to change it. It's going to be the same boring, tired shit. So, yeah, I have no confidence in it. What does that mean? Streamlabs Draven says, can we do a DSP tries it with a new Pair phone? What is a Pair phone? I've never heard of that before. Am I going to play Metal Gear Solid 4 when it gets re-released? If you guys want me to, yeah, if you want me to, I'll get the new collection and we'll play it again. Keep in mind that there's going to be 2 hours of cutscenes at a time, right? At the very end, the final cutscene is like an hour, 45 minutes. That's a whole stream. Based Alpha Real, you came in very late, didn't you? I'm done with Street Fighter 6. That doesn't mean I'm done with fighting games. There's tons of fighting game stuff coming out. We're doing Invincible versus today, and I may buy the final version at the end of the month. There's the Avatar fighting game this year. There's Marvel Tokon this year. And every once in a while, I may have a craving where I just want to play the classics, and we have a classics night. Am I going to see the Exit 8 movie? Not in theaters. Maybe when it goes on demand, I will. It's cool because I just played Exit 8 a few months ago. So it'll be neat to see how they turn that into a movie. No. Keep Up Momentum says, do you feel like modern fighting games have passed you by and you just can't hang? No, I feel like modern fighting games aren't good enough to hold my interest for me to invest enough time to hang. That's the truth. If I invested as much time in a modern fighting game like I used to back in the day for classic fighters, I'd be just as good, if not better. I just don't care. They're not that good. They don't hold my interest at all. They bore me. Street Fighter 6 is interesting for a bit and then bores me. So I don't want to keep playing it enough to get better at it. I don't care. Sergeant Madness with another $5 super chat says, what's your most hated game of all time? What's the worst game of last year and this year? Well, for me, when you say hated game, right? It's hard for me to hate a game, but for me, the games that are the most disappointing are games that basically had huge potential and they basically fall right off. Like, for example, my most disappointing game of last year, 2025, was Mario Kart World. Okay? Why? Because it was the most blatant, misrepresented bait-and-switch title, a huge ripoff from Nintendo, but people are too ignorant to realize it, even when the facts are presented to them. All right? So you might say, well, what do I mean? How could it possibly be a bait-and-switch? What was wrong with Mario World, or Super Mario Kart World, right? Well, here's what was wrong with it. They advertised it as a huge open-world game, and the open world is empty and has no content. There's literally not a reason ever to drive in the open world. It's just a waste of your time. But they sold that as a selling point saying, oh, this is the most expensive game ever, $80. But the world that you created for it is meaningless. There's no reason to ever do a challenge in the open world. You don't get anything for it. So why would I ever do it? You made content that has no value to say that the game is bigger than it really is, and then you charged more for it. When you actually got to the online play of Mario Kart World, what ended up happening was the game was very shallow. It was more about abusing items and things like that than it was actually driving well. In a game that's supposed to be about racing and driving wasn't really a factor. So it's actually one of the worst Mario Karts ever made, oversold as a game that has more content than it really has. That was the most expensive one ever, and everyone bought it. If you take a look, it sold like crazy. Like crazy. It sold like gangbusters, and Nintendo made massive bank on that game because it was the launch title for Switch 2. That, for me, is the most disappointing game of last year. It had potential to bring back Mario Kart, back to relevancy, to be good, and Nintendo said, we don't care about any of that, we just want money. I know you had said, what else did you say? What was the worst game of last year and this year? I already said last year. This year, I don't know. Right now, I'd have to look at what we've played this year. There have been duds, like probably that game from the beginning of the year. What was it called? Code Violet? That one. That was just utter dog shit. That game's a piece of slop that never should have been made. So that's probably the worst one of this year so far. Most hated game of all time. I don't really have one that I think of all the time and say that's the worst game ever. So, Sergeant Madness tipped another $2, says, what about the dinosaur game you played? I think that's what you're talking about. Code Violet? Yeah, that's by far, that's the worst game that I played this year. I mean, it wasn't even finished. It was a buggy mess. A terrible game that they charged full price for. They are completely ripping people off with that one. Okay. Someone tipped $3 and says, are you excited for the return of a RoboCop cinematic universe in the combination with a Roy Schneider version Sequest Deep Submergence Vessel IP? What kind of games would you like to see come out of this combination? It says Nutlump again. I don't know what the hell you're talking about. I mean, we already have RoboCop games, right? And they've done well. RoboCop and then that Rogue City and then the spinoff. Apparently, you know, they've done well. I played Rogue City. I actually liked it. Sadly, the spinoff didn't work on PC. It soft locked me and I couldn't continue. Actually, it wasn't even a soft lock. It was a hard lock. I couldn't even continue with the game, so I had to refund it. But they're fine games, but I don't know anything about Sequest and other stuff coming out. That I'm completely ignorant to. Someone tipped $2 says, what's the worst fighting game you ever seen or played? My vote goes to Human Killing Machine. In the 90s, there were an insane amount of bad games trying to knock off Mortal Kombat and or Street Fighter or both. And I'm trying to remember the name of the one that I had on 32X that I tried playing. It was like almost unplayable. What the hell is it called? Cosmic Carnage. That's what it's called. Cosmic Carnage. That one's terrible. You know, I also really hated Eternal Champions. A lot of people thought they liked it. I played it. I thought it was terrible. But the thing is, those games were a dime a dozen in the 90s. There was so many games trying to ride the coattails of Mortal Kombat and Street Fighter, and they all just barely function. Like, they're not even really good, you know, functional games. They lag. They don't control well. You know, some people would say Shaq Fu. Yeah, Shaq Fu. Arguably one of the worst fighting games of all time. You can't even do the special moves consistently. Greed Goblin, how are you? Good to see you. What's up, King Michael? He says, do you remember Street Fighter Cross Tekken? Of course I did. That was a game completely ruined by Capcom's greed. At its base face value, Street Fighter Cross Tekken is not a bad game. It actually plays very similar to the Capcom vs. SNK series, actually. And the problem was Capcom made two critical mistakes. First off, they had characters they had already finished, okay, on the game disc that you bought, locked behind DLC codes that you had to pay more money for. So imagine you buy the game and it has 16 playable characters. Capcom then says, oh, there's 4 more, but you have to pay for them, even though they're already on your disc. People had issue with that. I think there's a good reason. I think that's kind of unfair that they would lock content for additional money, okay? In addition, there was, sadly, a gems system in place that made the game very, very stupid. Like, you could play and unlock gems that would give you artificial damage boosts and defense boosts, and just, it was stupid. It was like an RPG element in a fighting game. No one wanted it, no one liked it, and the game ended up being dead after about a couple months because no one wanted to put up with this awful system that they designed for it. So it died completely. TX Shooter, no, I never saw the Punisher TV show. I think you're talking about the one with the guy from The Walking Dead, right? I forgot his name. But no, I've never seen it. Purple Drank wants me to play through the Arkham games again. I mean, we did replay Arkham 1 and 2 at one point. I never replayed Arkham Knight. Maybe we would do that eventually. I don't know. Do I think GTA 6 will be Game of the Year whenever it comes out? I don't know. I really don't know. We don't even know anything about it. Think about that. All the hype behind it and everything, and we literally don't know anything about the game. They haven't shown any footage, nothing. It's pretty crazy, huh? Alex from Phoenix, I played Time Killers. A very gory game where you would chop off the limbs of your opponents. Every person in the game had a weapon that cut. So there was like a guy from the past, a caveman who had like a sharp club that would cut. There was a Viking with an axe. There was a knight with a knight sword. There was a guy that was supposed to be like a cyberpunk guy with a chainsaw. And then there was a guy from the future who had like a lightsaber. And you would attack and it would chop off people's limbs. And then you could eventually chop off their head. Time Killers, yeah. Pretty crazy game. Yeah, essentially Mortal Kombat versus DC is Mortal Kombat 8. At the time, they didn't say it was, but now it's pretty much accepted that that's exactly what it was. What about BioShock Remastered? I've already played BioShock a couple times. Yes, the new Lego Batman game, I'm very interested in. I want to play it. Everyone says that essentially it's the spiritual successor to the Batman Arkham trilogy. I think I'm down for that. I think I definitely would want to play something like that. Someone took $2 as Eternal Champions on the Sega CD version is goated, plays like Street Fighter with more violence and Mortal Kombat, interesting lore. I don't know if I played that one. I think I played the Genesis version. I thought it was terrible. It played like shit. So maybe just the Genesis version is crap and that's the only one I've played. I don't know. Six Hybrid says, I tried GTA 5 again, playing it this time on PS5, but in the 30 frames per second quality mode to feel how GTA 6 might be, and it felt unplayable compared to 120 frame games now. It just doesn't look good for GTA 6. I don't believe GTA 6 will be 30 frames. I don't. I think GTA 6 will be 60 frames. I'm just being honest. I don't think the game... You're right. People would not play that game in 30 frames. People are going to say this is a huge problem. So, at very least, on PS5 Pro, I think it'll be 60 frames. I could be wrong, but I think that they're going to try to put it on 60 frames for PS5 Pro. Okay. All right, guys. Anything else? Last chance to, if you want to do a little bit more Q&A before we end the show, and then I got to jump into Invincible and try to figure out how this game plays, because I have no idea. Sergeant Madness with another $2 super chat asks, what's my favorite console of all time? The Super Nintendo. I just think Super Nintendo for the time was insanely groundbreaking. Keep in mind, Super Nintendo was the first controller ever that had shoulder buttons. And that added a whole new dimension to how video games were played. It had so many innovations in technology, including the ability to store your game files on certain cartridges, even though those cartridges were more expensive. It was really cool to be able to save your game and play a lengthy RPG without losing your progress or needing an insanely long password. It had, what was it called? Parallax scrolling, or whatever that scrolling technology was. Later on, they added in that special chip that lets you do 3D like Star Fox games. I just felt like Super Nintendo was the insanely innovative time for games. Like, blew me away as a kid. That was the console I actually owned the most games for ever. Never again did I have a console that I bought that many games for. You know what I mean? When I was like a kid and had a collection. So that's it for me. I got another $2 tip. The Genesis version is rough around the edges, cheating AI worse than MK and Street Fighter combined, but they made it much more refined experience on Sega CD thanks to a power boost. Well, there you go. I've never played it on Sega CD. Maybe it actually is a good game in that version. And he's talking about Eternal Champions for the record. Okay. Sonic the Hedgehog did a £2 super chat, says, please replay the Arkham series. Well, it sounds to me like my next exposure will be this Lego game, right? It does sound like this Lego game will be the one that I will play next. And then after that, we'll see. Excuse me. Oh, excuse me. Sorry, guys. I did play DayZ. We played DayZ a couple months ago during a marathon. Remember? I actually did give it a try. Jay says his brother is a big Invincible fan. Oh, again, I've only watched season 1, so I'm probably going to have an incredibly limited understanding of who most of these characters are or how they fight. Purple Drink, I appreciate that, but no need. He says, I will happily gift you the Arkham Knight Premium Edition. I don't need you to gift me any games. I can afford whatever game I'm going to play. When I'm going to play it, I can buy it. It's no big deal. If you like the content, support the stream. Okay, but I don't, I appreciate the offer. I don't need any games donated. Yes, I remember War Gods, another terrible game. That one was actually made by Midway, the makers of Mortal Kombat. Terrible fighting game of that era. That was one of the ones that attempted to have a pseudo 3D landscape, meaning there was actually a 3D button, and you would hit the button and be able to sidestep back and forth in the fore and background, and it played like shit. I did a full playthrough of Hotline Miami. Yes, Prouder Stan. I have played the game. And it is on this channel. Right now, you can find it. I am a fan of Soul Calibur. I have played Soul Calibur over the years. In fact, I started with the series before it was called Soul Calibur, back when it was called Soul Edge. That was the original game. I played it in arcades. Then it became Soul Blade. Then they changed it to Soul Calibur, and then the series just continued as 2, 3, 4, 5, blah, blah, blah. I pretty much played every one. And I do think that they can be fun. My character was usually Nightmare, but I played with Mitsurugi, Killick, Sophatia, Siegfried, Voldo, and Cervantes. Those are usually the characters I've used in that series. Oh my goodness. Ugh, I'm gonna get coffee soon, but we're probably gonna play for about an hour before I get my coffee. I'm all sore today. I did do a big workout last night. Oh, I did do a nice big workout last night. It actually was a good one. It was a good workout, very successful. It was. Yeah, I played a UFC game here or two, but nothing too serious. And And Bloody Roar I'm aware of, and I do believe that I rented 1 or 2 of them back in the day, but never owned a Bloody Roar game or played it too extensively. Okay. I think it is time for us to get ready to try Invincible Versus. What do you guys think? I would like to say thank you for the early support. I appreciate everyone who is here who supported the morning show. Let's now get set up. Again, sorry, we do have to do the tutorials and everything because I don't understand how to play Invincible Versus. This is my first time with this game. I didn't play any of the earlier, they did have tests and stuff, and I didn't play those, nor have I watched any gameplay videos, so I don't know how it plays. So, we're going to try. All right, we're going to see what happens. All right. Folks, thank you. I appreciate you all chilling here this morning. I hope you enjoyed the show. So just a quick reminder that there will be no content tomorrow or Saturday. I'm off for 2 days, all right? I will return on Sunday with a level 1 podcast, a major stream of Dragon Quest VII where we try to make big progress, and the RimWorld reboot. What I mean by that is we are starting a new group in RimWorld on Sunday night. You guys will help me determine what DLC and if I'm installing any mods to start. And we're going to try to get it off the ground running and see how it goes. All right, so thank you guys for a great morning show. I will see you on Sunday. Unless you stick around for all the fun gameplay I'm doing today, the double new release. That would be cool of you as well. All right, guys, thanks. Peace out.